All right, folks, we know that cryptocurrency also runs on a lot of the same drivers as gold, but the sour grapes camp now starting to have a little bit of fun at the expense of the Bitcoin camp, saying the moment of truth came and it didn't do what it was supposed to do. Well, my next guest has a reason for that. Want to join bringing out Pomp Investments investor Anthony Pompliano. So the last couple of days, right, there was an invasion. The Iranians, launched, and Bitcoin was supposed to go up and went down. There, it doesn't work. Well, I know you're hearing this from a lot of people.
I love it. The last halving, we're 4 years later. It was $8,000. Today it's $64,000. Name another asset that's performed that well over a 4-year cycle. You can't. And so when people see Bitcoin go down on Saturday, they say, oh my God, Bitcoin went down. Well, so did gold, and so did every other financial market that was open. When there's these uncertainty events around geopolitical kind of invasions and attacks and rumors, et cetera, investors sell anything that's liquid for dollars. If you go back to COVID, that's what we saw. People dumped every asset. They wanted dollars, and everything sold off. It's a liquidity crisis. But now what will happen is on the way back up, Bitcoin will be the leader in the recovery. And my guess is that it will continue to perform just as well as it did the last 4 years for the 4 years to come.
Some of the things I was just talking to Rebecca about, these are real issues. And I was introduced to Bitcoin by people who believe that the U.S. government has lost its way. The John Stossel camp. Our offices are on the same floor. I wish I'd listened to him, him as assistants, right? I'd be as rich as you are. But, I always find it odd that, that the two folks, they're always arguing amongst each other when it feels like the same drivers of valuation are underpinning both.
I actually think that what both assets hold is sound money principles. You have an analog version in gold. It's physical gold, but it has an asset that is outside of the system and no one can create more of it. That's sound money principles. Bitcoin is the exact same thing in digital form. It's outside the system and no one can create more of it. But what's important is, why are you buying the asset? If you're buying the asset simply for downside protection, gold will be less volatile, and therefore that is the asset you should buy. But if you're buying the asset to increase your purchasing power, then Bitcoin will have more volatility to the upside. The digital version of a product is always bigger and more valuable than the analog version of it. And so Bitcoin will be more valuable than gold one day.
What do you say then to folks who are saying, okay, maybe the sell on the news thing? I know when we had a chart yesterday, 18 months later, after the halving, the Bitcoin has been up big time. But will it be could there be a sell on the news phenomenon when it happens later this week?
It could. I always tell people that if you're buying Bitcoin and you're trying to predict what the price is in an hour, a day, a week, or even a month, that's probably a fool's errand. Instead, what you should think about this is a savings technology. If you simply continue to dollar cost average into a great asset that you can hold for the long term, it sounds a lot like Warren Buffett. It sounds a lot like the value investors. And so Bitcoin, in my opinion, is a great asset. And the people who dollar cost average into it with a portion of their portfolio and hold it for the long term are going to do quite well.
What percentage of your portfolio is in it?
More than 50%.
More than 50%. Okay. Before I let you go, then, because we got geopolitics and we have U.S. politics. It doesn't matter which administration wins, because my greatest fear for cryptocurrency, particularly Bitcoin, is that ultimately the U.S. will try to outlaw it.
They may. I don't think that they'd be successful in doing that. What we've actually seen is in countries around the world that have outlawed the ownership or trading of the asset, actually adoption has gone up, which is pretty interesting. But I don't think that the administration necessarily matters, other than both administrations, Republican and Democrat, are going to be a tailwind for Bitcoin adoption, because ultimately both administrations, Republicans and Democrats, they continue to contribute to the national debt. They continue to contribute to
So they contribute to the value proposition. But when I hear Elizabeth Warren, when I hear Bernie Sanders, it seems to me that if they get a chance, particularly if they had control of the Congress and the White House, that they would actually do something, block this thing off. You're not concerned about that?
I think that Larry Fink and a bunch of people on Wall Street now would have a different opinion, and we'll see who wins that battle.
All right. So next step, where are we going now? Just keep buying, keep dollar averaging, and just ride it out. Ride through these wild swings. These are wild swings.
Usually in these bull markets, the average drawdown is about 15%. So far, it's only been about 5 cents.
Great stuff.